Day, that means it's the Team 53 late model summer shootout racing from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome, everybody. My name is Ellis Thomas, and I'm joined in the booth. Back this week is Chris Smith. Chris, first of all, welcome back. We are glad you are back with us. Tonight, we're bringing you live racing action in the late model stock cars from Hickory Speedway for the Team 53 150. Hickory opened as a half-mile dirt track in 1951, and it even held a NASCAR Cup race in 1953. Eventually, it was reconfigured in the early 70s to its current 3/8-mile asphalt configuration. Just an hour north of Charlotte, the hub of NASCAR, Hickory was actually called home by dozens of familiar names like Ralph Earnhardt, Junior Johnson, Richard Petty, and Dale Jarrett. Chris, Hickory is often referred to as the birthplace of NASCAR's stars. We've got 150 laps here tonight under the stars, and each one of the drivers you're going to see tonight is looking to make their name in Slingshot Racing League. What are drivers going to have to be looking out for to accomplish that feat and earn that victory if they're going to become a new star tonight in Slingshot Racing League?
Well, it's going to require you navigating a very, very tight, short, small track. This is 3/8 of a mile. This is probably the smallest track a lot of our drivers have probably been on the service. Just 12 to 14 degrees of banking in the corners. Tonight's race is 150 laps per standard for all of our races here in the Team 53 Summer Shootout Series. They're going to have to be aggressive. It's going to be very interesting to see how aggressive the drivers are tonight. And if they're willing to push the envelope. We had a lot of cautions last week in the race, but we did end with a new winner, and we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that short track. This is the shortest track we visit all year long at just 3/8 of a mile, Chris, and we thought we saw some beating and banging last week. You're probably going to see a little bit more of that tonight. So we've actually got a bit of a treat here in the booth. We're going to talk to our first race winner of the season, James Ray, he's going to be fast tonight. We're going to talk to him for just a minute about what he expects to see out on the track and what it's going to take to get it done. So we'll go ahead and bring James Ray, the driver of that number 01 car, becoming a familiar name for Slingshot fans. We're going to bring him in the booth and talk to him here.
We touched it.
Hey, James Ray, this is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, so, well, first of all, congratulations on getting that first win in Slingshot Racing out of the way a couple of weeks ago. Let's talk, though, about what it's going to take to get that same job done tonight. Walk us through kind of a lap here, if you can, at Hickory Motor Speedway, what it feels like from the driver's perspective in that late model stock car.
Oh, it's rough on the entry, and if you get too much brake in it, that ass end just wants to come around on it. But you also got to try to get to that apron to make it turn a little bit. But if you get back to it too early, you're just loose off. So it's a handful.
What do you think is going to be the most likely mistake that we're going to see out of drivers? Hopefully not you, but well, what are we going to see out of drivers tonight in terms of possible mistakes?
I think we'll see a lot of people spinning out, coming off the corner, just getting loose, and somebody ain't going to have time behind them to check up and maybe get bumped and spun out.
What do you think it's going to take to win?
Save the right rear.
Hey, well, we'll be looking to see you do that tonight. Tire degradation going to be important. Hey, fun fact, you're one of only 2 drivers to finish in the top 5 both races this season. So good luck on getting number 3 out of the way tonight. And we'll hope to talk to you at the end of the race. James Ray, driver of the 01, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. And you guys have fun up there.
Will do. All right, so you heard from James Ray, qualifying, getting underway right now at Hickory Speedway. While drivers are kind of getting those tires warmed up and making those initial laps, we are going to carry out a Slingshot racing tradition. We'll hear the national anthem before we come back and talk about some stories to follow during this 150-lap Team 53 race at Hickory Motor Speedway. We'll be right back. All right, you were looking live at Hickory Speedway in North Carolina, about an hour north of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thank you for tuning in, Slingshot Racing fans, tonight. We got 150 laps of live racing action. We've already got a couple people in the chat talking about how tiny this track actually is, and they are absolutely right. Chris, let's talk a little bit about some of the stories we're going to be following over the course of the race tonight, things we're going to be keeping an eye on as the evening goes by. Pull up the tips for success, the keys to success. The very first thing viewers are going to notice is question of, are we going to have a new winner tonight? We're going to take a quick look at last week's winner, Matt Kuntz, holding on to the victory by just 0.003 seconds here. Matt Kuntz, we weren't sure if he's going to get it done up against Rye Jones. Both drivers did a great job, and we haven't seen a finish this exciting all season long. This is actually the closest finish in Slingshot Racing. You can see Rye Jones giving a little bit of a bumper here, and we've had several winners over the course of the season. We saw Evan Pienta win the season opening clash. We saw James Ray win race number 1. We now saw Matt Kuntz win race number 2, and Rye Jones almost get a victory there as well. So we're going to be keeping an eye on the driver of that number 91, Rye Jones, as well as other drivers tonight. Are we going to have a fourth winner of the season here in the Team 53 150? Let us know in the chat if you think we're going to have a fifth winner of the season. The second story we're looking at, driver aggression, Chris. Last week, I know you weren't here, but I think I saw the driver aggression at an all-time high compared to what we're used to seeing, and I think that had to do with the nature of the track. And tonight's it's just a shorter track, so we're probably going to see a little bit more of that driver aggression. We heard James Ray tell us a little bit in the pre-race interview about these drivers are going to have to be dealing with loose cars, so that might have their hands full. But we'll see how much of that aggression comes out tonight. Tire degradation. Driver that 01 also mentioned hanging on to that right rear, something that drivers are going to be looking to do all night long. How hard is that to do in one of these cars, Chris?
It's really hard because you spend so much time on the throttle in these cars, and it feels like you have to spend that much time on the throttle just to be fast in them. So it's very, very challenging, and it even gets harder when you're out there in the race because, the competitive juices start flowing, and you want to try to, gain positions. You want to try to hold your position. And so, tire degradation, it's one thing to do it in practice, and it's another thing to do it in the race.
Yeah, and you mentioned tight confines going to only add to that complication. Finishing the job, I wanted to talk just briefly about a couple drivers we've seen have a lot of speed. Kenneth Gallman and Larry Gibson, as well as Patrick Colby, but they've been caught. Patrick Colby actually has not been caught up in any incidents, but Kenneth Gallman and that black and yellow car and Larry Gibson have both had trouble despite showing some speed. So we're going to see hopefully some drivers maybe cleaning up their races a little bit and having some good runs tonight. We'll be keeping an eye on both of those drivers. But right now we're keeping an eye on the starting grid for the races. Qualifying is over, and we're going to take a look at your top qualifiers and see. Scotty Sobczak wins the Evan Pienta Pole Award. Scotty Sobczak, might as well call this guy Rocket Man. This is his at least probably 10th pole in Slingshot Racing League. So great job for Scotty Sobczak. He's going to be entered in to win a free paint scheme from Evan Pienta Designs, who does a lot of the paint schemes you're going to see on track tonight. Starting second is that man, Evan Pienta. James Ray going to be starting third. Kenneth Gallman, one of those drivers we mentioned, having speed, but going to hopefully have a clean race tonight, starting at his outside in fourth. Patrick Colby going to be starting fifth, followed by Josh Ward. We'll hear a little bit from Josh Ward later on in the race. Rye Jones going to be starting in the seventh slot. He's getting ready to grid. Next to him, Lee Campbell. Good qualifying effort for Lee tonight, starting number 8 in that 14 car. Jordan Ives starting in the 9th slot, followed by Tony Caputo in the 42, both new drivers to Slingshot Racing League. Brandon Waldrop, we saw him have a really tough race last week. He'll look to come back and put together a clean race this week, starting 11th. Clint Walker also having trouble from the get-go last week. He'll hopefully have better outing tonight, starting in 12th. Johnny Rapp slides in there in the 13th slot. Matt Kuntz starting 14th. Last week's winner is going to have to come from the back if he's going to do it again in that number 13 car. Nick DeCesare starting 16th, and Chris Blassie actually going to be starting 16th. Nick DeCesare will be starting 15th on the field. And of course, it will not allow me to log in as a spectator, so I'm listed as a driver. But that's okay. Right now, drivers waiting for that final moments before they do get rolling here. They're going to run 2 laps behind the pace car or the pace truck at this very short track. Those laps are going to go really, really fast.
Yeah, they are.
I was going to say, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't behind here as we start to see cars roll a little bit. We are rolling. Things are underway here at Hickory Motor Speedway.
Take a look at the race analysis here, and the drivers have 3 sets of tires available, counting the one that they have on the cars right now at the start of the race. We'll have to see when those guys decide to pit. Obviously, we're going to have cautions tonight in a track this small, so we'll see when they decide to make their pit stops here. And with this track being as small as it is, we got another pace lap here before we go green.
Yeah, it's the beauty of this. We got a few pace laps, got a couple things we can talk about. You can see the race analysis there. I don't think fuel is going to be an issue tonight. Tires are going to be the major issue, so I would imagine anytime that these drivers are going to get a chance to pit, we're probably going to see them come in right now. Scotty Sobczak and Evan Pienta leading them to the green flag. They hit the line. Green flag is out. Sobczak and Pienta lead them. Looks like Sobczak maybe had not the best start. Had drivers head down into turn 1. Now they head to the backstretch of Hickory Motor Speedway in this first lap of the Team 53 150. Everyone is clean so far. I got a couple cars. Kenneth Gallman, Josh Ward getting stuck on the outside. Rye Jones seeing if he can work his way back there about the 7th spot, making that low line work. But a lot of drivers a little bit more comfortable, Chris, than I would have imagined up on the outside. But Evan Pienta in that 55 is not sharing that comfort. Dropping back to 3rd, Patrick Colby. Driver that we've talked maybe not enough about, Chris. This was one of the things we mentioned to James Ray early on. He is one of 2 drivers to finish inside the top 5 in both races this season. Patrick Colby is the other. 3rd in points right now, so we'll see if Patrick can have a good run tonight. Starting out on the right foot, though. All cars single file right now on lap 4 of the Team 53 150. Looking through the chat right now. Pienta gets in the wall a little bit.
Got a little bit high off of 4 right there, and that's something I think we're going to see all night tonight. James Ray mentioned it. Off the corners, trouble spot. You either get into a 4-wheel slide like a push, or you're sliding the rear tires on corner exit.
And that is going to be something. You can see a couple of these drivers dip down the apron, getting their left tires a little bit below the apron. Kind of interesting watching these different lines kind of play out over the course of these first 6 or 7 laps right now. Looks like you got a pass. Tony Caputo making the pass, it looks like, on the number 14 of Lee Campbell. So Caputo picking up a position, actually picked up 2 since the beginning of the race, sitting there in that number 42 gray machine. Tony Caputo, just looking through the stats right now, last week Tony finished 8th, started 12th, so kind of same song, second verse for Tony Caputo, picking up spots early in the race after a top 10 last week at Lanier. Great job. Tony's running a good race right now. We'll be keeping an eye on the driver of that number 42 as this race goes on. So good job for him. I'm looking at I believe that says Michigan. My screen's a little bit small, but driver out of Michigan. Having a good run. Kenneth Gallman loose off the corner. We're going to see a yellow, that 71, Kenneth Gallman, just exactly what we talked about, Chris. Having trouble off the corner. James Ray mentioned it to us in pre-race. And certainly on lap number 11, we've got our first victim of loose corner exit.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably just feeding a little bit too much throttle to it on corner exit right there. Remember what I was saying before about how hard it is to rein yourself in once you get going green here. So we'll actually see if we can ride on board with the driver of the 71 here and see if we can see. Oh, went back, just didn't quite go back far enough. We'll rewind it a little bit here.
Kenneth Gallman coming off of a 6th place finish at Lanier, so he's going to have some work to do if he's going to get back up near that finish. And yeah, you can just see loose off the corner there. Yeah, does a good job of keeping it out of the wall, though.
Not going to be the first one tonight to do that, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I don't see anyone coming in to take tires right now, so With that being said, let's go ahead and see if we can sneak a quick break in here to hear from Team 53 so you can learn about our partner here that is making these races possible. All right, and we are back at Hickory getting ready for a restart on lap number 15. Scotty Sobczak is your leader at this point. Patrick Colby to his outside. Oh, sorry, that is James Ray. Moved his way up to the second position. That one slipped by me. Pace Truck is peeling off, and Scotty Sobczak going to bring him to the line. Pretty good start for Sobczak, but equally as good start from James Ray. He might have beat him to the line, actually. Going to try to hang tight in that outside line. We talked about how tough that is early on in the race. Let's see if Evan Pienta cuts him a little bit of slack there. He does. Pienta showing some respect, gives the driver that 0-1. A little bit of space at the bottom. Single file for the top four. Right now, Patrick Colby back in the 5th position. Really mired back in trouble there, Chris, on the outside. He's going to lose probably at least 4 spots on this restart. That outside line, not the place to be right now. Patrick Colby finding out that the hard way in that number 9 car. So right now, everyone seems to have straightened it out, though.
Yeah, that can happen really, really fast here. And, you know, there's no choose rule here in iRacing, so you don't get to choose what lane you want to start in. And, you know, sometimes you're just going to draw unlucky and be an even number and start on the outside.
Absolutely. So we'll be keeping an eye on those restart positions all night long, see how that's going to affect the storylines as they play out. Lap number 20 rolls by in the Team 53 150 here. Look at that white Patrick Colby machine, the number 9. Lee Campbell right behind him, running 8th, Chris. Right now, he's holding station where he started in that number 14 car. Pretty solid run going for Lee Campbell in that Office Depot. I think it's fair to say he's probably a Tony Stewart or at least a Stewart-Haas Racing fan based on some of the paint schemes we've seen him run over the course of the season.
I think that's a good bet. And, you know, number 14, Tony Stewart, you know, childhood hero AJ Foyt. And, yeah, I think that's a good bet. And Lee's having a pretty nice run tonight. I think that this is, you know, I can't remember for sure, but I want to say that this is probably the best speed I think I've seen out of him all season.
Yeah, he's coming off a 17th place finish at Lanier last week, so probably not where he would like to be last week. But looking at his stats right now, trying to find some information here. Yeah, he's had some trouble over the course of the season. I think he's been caught up in some of those midfield incidents that we've seen several drivers fall victim to. As you see him kind of creeping up on the battle for 6th position between Tony Caputo and Patrick Colby here on track. 3-car battle for the 6th position here between these 3 drivers.
Colby getting around Caputo,
Yeah, Caputo having a pretty good run. Despite losing that position, he's still up 3 spots on the night. Patrick Colby down a spot after starting in the 5th position. So he's got a little bit of work to do. Brandon Waldrop, we saw one of our chatters in the chat mention Brandon Waldrop's going to be a driver to keep an eye on tonight. He started 11th. He's already up 2 positions. So struggled to have a clean race last week, but he's keeping that red and blue machine in pretty good shape tonight. Not going to miss that car on the track, that Midwest driver, Chris.
Not at all. And this might be a paint scheme that wouldn't be allowed in a NASCAR race from the old paint scheme rules because it's 2 different colors on both sides. But here in Slingshot, it's absolutely allowed.
Hey, he's got like a Terry Labonte throwback kind of scheme going on, Fruit Loops. I did not know that was an actual rule. That's a fun fact. I've even learned something new tonight. We see that number 18 getting loose behind him. Jordan Ives struggling off the corner, as we heard James Ray mention several drivers likely would tonight.
Yeah,
falling
they
into
did.
the grasp of Chris Blassie.
Yeah, Chris Blassie coming up behind Jordan Ives right here, looking to make the pass on the inside. Good rotation right there in the center. Everybody shows a lot of respect to each other. Oh, and Ives got loose there off of turn 4. Gathers it back up. Johnny Rapp is going to look to make the pass on Ives, and he's going to get to the inside. Johnny Rapp actually came to pit road on that last caution. But I don't think he took 4 tires. I think he might have just taken 2 tires. He was only in the box for 11 seconds. It's about all you got time for.
Yeah, you got to be smart if you're back there in the field getting tires, with especially the shortest track on the season with Hickory Motor Speedway. We do have a battle for the lead, kind of tightening it up, though, Chris. James Ray has run down Scotty Sobczak up in first place, and that car's looking pretty good. I'm looking at the 81 blue and white auto parts paint scheme, and he's struggling a little bit with looseness. I don't see that out of Ray right now. Might have just been one corner for Sobczak, though.
Yeah. Oh, we tagged the
a little
wall
wall
bit there.
contact there. Yeah.
No harm, no foul, though. I think everything's going to be fine. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch over the course of this run. If we stay green here, how does the right rear tire degradation go? Are you able to keep the right front ahead of the right rear with tire wear? I think that's the goal. You don't want to wear the right rear quicker than you wear the right front. If you do, I think that you're going to just plummet through the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be the tendency. You got to be careful, especially with coming off these corners. Driving on that right rear is going to be a challenge. Several drivers, you can already tell, struggling with that a little bit. They're coming up on a lap car. Clint Walker and that 02 going to get out of the way. Good job by the 02, but that's going to open the door, it looks like, for James Ray here, who's just rolling off the bottom of the corner a little bit better than the driver of that 81, it seems like, right now.
Yeah, he's rolling real nice through the center of the corner, and Scotty's doing a really nice job too, though, of maximizing his speed, making the best of his position as well. You can see him maybe not seeing as much of running on the apron as we did earlier in the race. A little bit down here in 3 and 4, but not much. Earlier on the first laps, we saw a lot of that. What that does, and you might see other drivers, he's got to do it right there with the left front, it sort of de-wedges the car a little bit. It helps the car turn right in the middle of the corner. And what Scotty's doing right there is just the perfect amount. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to have just a little bit as James Ray gets really, really close to the rear bumper of Sobczak there.
Yeah, and we've talked about how difficult it can be to pass in these late model stock cars. One of the things that a question we had a viewer ask earlier in the chat was, do we know how much horsepower these things crank out? Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's around 450, or is it less?
That sounds right. I'm honestly not sure. I don't have that right in front of me. But when you have less horsepower in a car, this is where the whole debate's been in the NASCAR Cup Series for a few years. When you have less power in a car, everybody runs closer to the same speed. And when everybody runs closer to the same speed, it's harder to make a pass.
It is harder, and you can see James Ray really struggling with that right now, despite maybe having a little bit better handling of a race car in lap 44 out of 150. He's getting really close. I'd be curious to see the back bumper of that number 81 car, just to see how close that 01 is getting to him as they're coming up on lap traffic. And these cars they're coming up on aren't necessarily slow cars. Last week's winner, Chris, I'm a little bit surprised that Matt Kuntz is already close to going a lap down here on lap number 45 of the race. You can see him really struggling right now to get by the 18 of Jordan Ives. But right now, these cars going at it right in front of the leader. So dangerous territory. They passed one car by Jordan Ives in the 18, but the 81 still got to get by last week's winner, Matt Kuntz, while worrying about James Ray in his rear view mirror. This is a tight battle for the lead here in Slingshot Racing League.
It really is. And, Matt might have possibly, I think he got in here a little bit late. Maybe he didn't quite have enough time to get the practice in that he wanted to. Struggling a little bit tonight, but still got plenty of time. He can recover. But the laps are ticking away. Just now noticing we're almost a third of the way through this thing already.
Yeah, and we are moving quickly. Just one caution so far in the race. You mentioned it. We're almost a third of the way through the race. Hey, one of the cars I do want to mention, a couple comers and goers right now. The biggest mover that I've seen, Chris Blassie, running in the 11th spot. Chris wasn't here last week, but he's done a good job this week. Probably making
Johnny Rapp loose right in front of him.
And I believe, did Johnny Rapp get any damage? You can see him driving it in. He is really struggling on those on the rear tires right now, Chris.
Yeah, Johnny also didn't get a lot of practice laps either, so...
Evan Pienta, we got a car
Evan's
on
in
pit
trouble.
road. Sideways, caution is not going to come out. I was just going to mention Evan Pienta is one of those drivers that was really struggling a little bit.
Let's go back and look.
Yeah, we'll see what happened with Evan.
Yeah, he's already around here, it looks like. Ooh, I went back way too far. Sorry
He just got loose. He got loose on the center, and he barely misses contact with Patrick Colby. But the driver of that 99 or that 55 is going to keep on going. Really good job of keeping it out of those tires on the entrance to pit road. Really dangerous area to spin off. Right now, Johnny Rapp gets more contact with the wall. Several drivers, Chris, you mentioned it. We're on lap 54. These guys are struggling. So the question becomes, if we don't get a caution, you certainly can't go the distance on these tires. I know that. I know that to be true.
Oh, we're going to get a caution. There ain't no way.
Right?
Oh, no!
Zach, your leader is going to be the cause of the caution. He just comes up on Chris Blassie a lot faster than I think he probably anticipated. And yeah, him and Johnny Rapp. I think this started between the 15 and the 52, Chris, going into one. Blassie really just trying to take it easy. Johnny Rapp was on the high line, so Chris necessarily couldn't get out of the way of the leaders, and that caution that we are talking about is out, and I would imagine we're going to see all cars on pit road. The biggest question I've got in my mind right now is whether Scott Sobczak, the leader, is going to be assessed an end-of-line penalty for technically being the cause of that caution. We see the leaders roll around. Chris Blassie still struggling to get it going. The dangers of a short racetrack like this. Really got to be careful about when and where you bring that car onto the track. Right now, all your leaders are on pit road, including Scott Sobczak. Josh Ward. Wow. 3 car. Look at that battle off of pit road between the top 3 cars. Ray, Sobczak, and Ward were almost on top of each other.
Yeah, they were, and this is where I would not want to be Sam Maxwell right now. Because I think that technically, Sobczak might get the penalty here, but it was a situation where I think it was a failure to communicate between the 15 and the 52 on corner entry right there. I think that they were both kind of almost seeming like they were letting each other go, and they almost came to a stop there. And unfortunately, Scotty was just trucking along, and had a lot of pressure from James Ray behind him. We'll see what happens.
So, absolutely, and they got a little bit of work to do getting the field sorted out right now. I think we've got some lap cars making their pit stops. Scotty Sobczak, I'm still showing scored as the leader, and I haven't seen any sort of message yet on chat about whether or not Sobczak is going to be assessed an EOL penalty. I don't see any signs that that is coming yet after these leaders have made their pit stop. So right now,
I'm okay with that no call.
Wave around. Yeah, I think so. I think that is one of those incidents that falls under the description that you did a really good job of giving right there. So Scotty Sobczak, James Ray, Josh Ward, Patrick Colby, Ryan Jones are your top 5. Right now, everyone else is looking like they're getting caught up to the pace truck. One more lap around, though. I was thinking we were going green that time by, but the lights are still flashing on the pace car. This time they are off, though, which is going to give everyone a chance to get caught up. Chris, Ryan Jones is a car that we have not really talked about much tonight. He was on the short end of the stick when it came to that finish last week. He is up to 5th. He was running 3rd before that series of pit stops.
And what is it with Ryan Jones and photo finishes?
I'm telling you, he won one at Talladega in the truck race in the Cup Series last season. Right now, it's all Scotty Sobczak and James Ray. Front row takes the green flag for the restart on lap 62 of 150 in the Team 53 150. James Ray on that right rear quarter panel of the 81, going to see if he can get down between Scotty Sobczak and Josh Ward. Top 3 single file. Rye Jones moves up to the 5th position. Evan Pienta seeing if he can slip by Kenneth Gallman in the 71. Caution is
Caution's
out,
back
though.
up.
Not sure where that happened.
It's like Jordan
Ives.
Ives, possibly. Yeah, we'll go back and we'll see if we can take a look at what might have occurred to the driver of the number 18.
Yeah.
Oh, just
18
a little
loose
bit
off
loose.
corner.
Yep, a little bit loose right there, and you know, he's on new tires. It looks like he took 4 tires on his pit stop, which I think that actually caused him to lose another lap. So, yeah, that can happen on these cold new tires. As man, the pace trucks are really fast.
Yeah, that pace truck, that might be the fastest I've ever seen that pace truck drive, as the driver of that pace truck comes around to collect all the drivers. Hey, speaking of drivers, we had mentioned Josh Ward coming out third on that series of pit stops. Let's take a moment to feature Josh Ward in our driver of the race segment. We put 5 questions to the drivers of Slingshot Racing, and they gave us the best answer. So this is the Sim Racing Tech driver of the race feature.
Hey everyone, it's Josh Ward from Slingshot Racing League, and here's 5 things about me. For a living, I am the commercial sales manager at a Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram dealership, so if you ever need any vehicles for your business, hit me up. So for this question, my mind automatically goes to desserts, and I don't really discriminate against desserts. If you hand me something, I'll probably eat it. The first race I ever remember watching was probably 96 or 97. I was 4 or 5 years old, and my mom had it on. I saw Jeff Gordon's rainbow car, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and the rest is history. The best condiments for a hot dog, I'm just going to stay with good old faithful, which would be ketchup, mustard, and maybe a little bit of cheese. All American way.
All right, these
tough.
drivers are green flag racing again. Scotty Sobczak, James Ray with Josh Ward, the driver we're hearing from in the driver of the race segment. Third, trying to get by Rye Jones. Rye Jones hanging tough on the outside there in 4th position. We've talked about that outside being no man's land all night long. Can James Ray sneak in? Or is Josh Ward going to... Oh, James Ray closes the door on that number 92 car. Evan Pienta struggling with Patrick Colby right now as these drivers go through turn number 3 and 4 at Hickory Motor Speedway. Rye Jones, contact there with the number 9 of Patrick Colby. Tell you what, Chris, Patrick Colby is a driver we have seen this season not really want to put up with anyone's, you can think of a nicer word than I can probably, but
no shenanigans.
No shenanigans for the driver of that number 9. 2 top 5 finishes on the season right now. 3rd in points, Patrick Colby. Having a good run, that New Hampshire driver in that number 9 car, driving that Mustang paint scheme. Patrick Colby is a Mustang owner. Excited about getting a new Mustang here, I believe a 2024, in the next several months. I'm sure those months cannot tick away fast enough for Colby looking through the field a little bit. Several drivers having good runs tonight. Kenneth Gallman, you mentioned him. He started 4th, so good start. He's down to 6th, but that's still a pretty good run for the driver in that number black 71 machine. I know we've got some fans in the chat rooting Kenneth on, so let us know if you're in the chat and you're a number 71 Kenneth Gallman fan. But so far, having a pretty good run right now, pulling away from Matt Kuntz a little bit. He's up to 13th.
Matt Kuntz, I wanted to mention, has not come to pit road yet. He has not been on pit road yet. And Nick DeCesare, I think, has been on pit road, but I don't think he's actually had a pit stop yet either. So those two, very nice racing right here, very nice motorsports. They're pulling some strategy shenanigans tonight.
Having a very nice run. Shades of last week's strategy for Matt Kuntz. Put him in the lead, not taking tires, went 90-plus laps on a stretch of tires. And eventually got him to the win. Right now, this battle for the lead, though, Chris, is not cooling down at all. Scotty Sobczak gets the wall a little bit on the front straightaway. James Ray falling in the clutches of Josh Ward just a little bit here.
Yeah, Josh Ward.
Bumper of that number 92.
Yeah, Josh Ward is just having a really solid run tonight. Been up here in the top 3 pretty much the entire night. And looking like he's really, really comfortable as well. And, you know, these 3 right here, I want to say that they've been the top 3 pretty much all night.
Yeah, they've been doing a Solid job. These are guys that we probably expected to see some speed from. Scotty Sobczak is a guy that we missed last week. He started, he got on the grid, so he got a provisional, got the final points available for the race, but he didn't really race last week. First race of the season. I'm looking at where he finished. I think he finished in the top 2 or 3. He scored as a top 5 finish.
Well, he is a new dad. Congratulations,
Yeah,
Scotty Sobczak. So yeah,
he's got his hands full a little
he was
bit.
probably pretty busy last week.
But right now he is, man, the daddy jokes are waiting. But I'm not going to go there yet. So right now he's leading in that number 81 machine, followed by James Ray, Josh Ward. Patrick Colby is your 4th place runner.
Got trouble.
Caution is out. That's going to be for Brandon Waldrop, it looks like. We talked about him having a clean race so far in lap 82, but 82 was not the lap for him. Seeing if we can find out what happened.
Oh, some contact with Evan Pienta. We'll actually see if we can look at this from the drone shot here.
I think Evan Pienta probably wasn't expecting that late arc that Brandon Waldrop in the 50 took on the exit of that corner.
Yeah, it looks like, Evan is trying to roll the bottom here. Brandon's thinking, I got room to come down, and they just kind of meet right there. So, but no contact, except for just a little bit to the right rear right there. But no harm, no foul. He'll be able to keep on rolling.
Yeah, I know Evan is not having the race that I think he probably would have liked to have so far. We mentioned that earlier incident where he lost it off the corner, put him back in the field a little bit, trying to make a lot happen, and just got into the driver, the number 50. So we'll see if an EOL is assessed there. I hadn't seen anything come down yet, but it'll probably happen after the leaders have an opportunity to make a pit stop. Patrick Colby, Chris, coming in at that number 9 to make a pit stop. We're going to see what kind of implications that might have on the rest of this race. We've got about 65 laps to go, so we're over halfway.
Yep. Matt Kuntz, Nick DeCesare make their ways down pit road, but I don't know if they actually pit. DeCesare looks like he might have, but I'm not sure about Kuntz there.
And these the pit roads on these short tracks are small, and it is really hard to miss your box, or really easy to miss your box. And I think we saw Nick DeCesare do that last week. So maybe something similar happened to the driver of that 13, Matt Kuntz, here this week. But right now, drivers are lining up double file, and lights are out on the pace car, which means we are going to be going green here in just a moment. Drivers make their way down to that short backstretch, and it almost, Chris, doesn't even feel like a backstretch. It does have some arc to it right now. Pace truck. Oh, going by one more time. I thought the lights were out on my end. They're gonna come off this time, though.
Yeah, and you almost have to ask yourself, if you're out here tonight, is it even worth it to come to pit road? I know you want to get a new right rear on that car, but is it even worth coming in? The chances of something happening here, like you missing your pit stall, are really, really high.
And leaders are coming to the line to take the green. Sobczak, Ray, Ward, and Jones are your top 4. They head down into turn 1.
Sobczak rolling the bottom really nice right there in the center of 1 and 2, but James Ray gets a nice run off of 2.
James Ray running a little bit of a special patriotic scheme, July 4th week coming up here, but he's struggling right now.
He is. He's in a hornet's nest.
Yep, we mentioned the outside line is not where you want to be. If you don't really drive aggressively like we see Ray in the 01 driving here, you're going to lose several spots. Josh Ward not showing him much room, though. Ward's got to be careful not to drive it in too hard into that corner. Rye Jones looking to see if he can get a piece of the action here, take advantage of that hole that the 92 of Josh Ward has opened up.
Some contact!
Ward gets turned. He misses the wall, though, Chris. That's going to be key. Caution is not out on the racetrack.
Now it is, because he backed up to get going. Yeah.
I was about to say that was going to be a really bad break. I think he's going to get it going before he goes a lap down. So two things happen there, really critical for the driver of that blue and yellow machine, Josh Ward. He didn't get the wall, to my knowledge, and he gets it going before he gets put a lap down. We'll see if we can... I think we saw it live while it was happening. He just slid up in front of the 01, and James Ray's patience can only go so far. We see Ray coming down to the pits here to get tires, though. This is going to be an interesting call. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good move because he knows he's probably going to get penalized for that move right there. He knows he'll probably have to take an EOL for that one. But we're right on board with James Ray right here. We'll see if we can listen to the throttle here. Here he is on the outside of Josh Ward. Josh is rolling the bottom right here, and he's going to try to slide up. And man, it wasn't even that hard. I don't. We're not in the voice chat, so we don't know what's being said. But I think that I don't think there was anything intentional there. I think that was just he was trying to get as good a run as he could to possibly clear the 91 on corner exit.
Yep, and just got a little bit of that back bumper, and the rest was history. Josh Ward going around, but no damage. He stays on the lead lap. He's probably going to want tires after that spin, so we're going to see what that does to his standing. Right now, I'm showing him the last or next to last car on the lead lap, though.
Yeah, and Nick DeCesare right here, I think he's going to get possibly get the free pass here and get back on the lead lap. But, yeah, and you see the driver of the 01 right here. He is waiting on everybody to pass because he has received that EOL.
Got a Tony Caputo fan in the YouTube chat right now. Peter Constant, thanks for tuning in, Peter. Tony running 12th. Had a good run go until he had some contact, I believe, earlier on in the race. So we'll see if Tony can kind of climb his way back up through the field. He's going to have a few laps to make back up if he's going to make that run through the field, though. So we'll keep an eye on the driver, that number 42, Tony Caputo. We got a few fans. Got Daniel Berg in the chat rooting on Jordan Ives and the number 18. Pace truck peels off. Scotty Sobczak and a new face, Rye Jones. Your second place runner, Evan Pienta, third right now. See if Evan Pienta, teammate of Rye Jones, cuts him a break. He does. Rye Jones making that. Oh, Tony Caputo, we just mentioned him. He's around. Yellow flag is out, but I don't see any contact back there on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, let's go back and see if we can see what happened to Tony. Restarts on the inside of Josh Ward right here. Pushes up a little bit right there in the center, and I think there's some contact from the 92 to the right rear of the 42. Might be a good incident to look at from the drone camera here.
Yeah, we just mentioned Tony in the chat. We just mentioned Josh, too. Gets right up in that Hornets nest. Josh Ward, the guy running third place earlier in the race, just missing out on that. And it looks like he might have gotten a little help. Caputo might have gotten a little bit of help from the 92, who was making an effort there to get his way through the field as quickly as possible. See, Chris Blassie going to be the recipient of the lucky dog there. That's going to put Chris Blassie, I believe, 1 lap down now. So,
yeah, that was a situation, I think, right there where Tony was sliding up a little bit in the center of the corner, and Josh might have just lost I wouldn't say lost his patience there, but you only let a guy slide up so much, and it wasn't much contacted, but it doesn't take much in these things.
Yeah, Josh Ward coming down and getting tires there, Chris. I wonder if he knew maybe that EOL was coming, if he's getting one. So he's going to have some work to do, but he's got some fresh tires to do it. We're on lap 101 out of 150, just 49 laps, actually 50 laps remaining here in the Team 53 150 from Slingshot Racing League here at Hickory.
Yeah, Scotty Sobczak is your leader. Been dominant all night tonight. Scotty Sobczak has made 1 pit stop. It looks like he took right side tires on that pit stop. I'm curious about the 91 of Rye Jones. They got the same amount of laps on their tires, but by the looks of it, I think Rye Jones took 4 tires on that pit stop. So
I think you are right. And Scotty Sobczak, 21-second pit stop means he definitely took 2. Patrick Colby probably took 2, but Evan Pienta and Rye Jones, those payday drivers, Chris, sitting in a really good position now with just about 50 to go. They are on the freshest tires out of that group of 45. Now, we've got other drivers, as we take the green flag here, who are on even fresher tires. Rye Jones looking to see how quickly he can work his way by Scotty Sobczak, who might be struggling with handling a little bit more than the driver, that number 91. Right now, top 10 about our single file. Johnny Rapp and Lee Campbell back in the 8th position. 3 wide back there. I saw Clint Walker having a little bit of trouble running that outside line, getting passed by 2 cars on the inside, but all looks like it has settled down in the back right now. Stories up front. Johnny Rapp working his way by Kenneth Gallman back there for the 7th spot. Johnny Rapp, that number 52 Mission Barbecue car.
And James Ray,
working his way through the field.
The eyes are on James Ray right now because he is rolling up through the field on these fresh tires.
He's on about 36 laps fresher tires than the rest of the field, Chris. And Patrick Colby also on about 30 laps fresher tires.
Patrick Colby's also flying right now. He charged up to the rear bumper of Evan Pienta, but like we said before, it's hard to complete the pass in these things, especially on this track.
It really is. We've seen it go wrong a couple times, but right now these leaders are all keeping it together. Scott Sobczak, a little bit of contact with the wall there. We're going to see if anyone takes advantage of that. As we mentioned, these cars can take a pretty good beating off the corner. Hey, Braxton DeWeese, last week's Apex Energy Summer Throwback Series winner, hopping in the chat. Hopefully we'll see him in this race next week. Right now, though, Scotty Sobczak leads Rye Jones, Evan Pienta. Patrick Colby working to the inside of Pienta. Pienta's going to close the door back there for the 3rd position, though. James Ray, we mentioned those fresh tires. He's got to start. His patience probably wearing a little bit thin here with about 40 laps left in this race. This is going to be a dash. These laps go by very quickly here at Hickory. You could put a piece of paper on the top of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now, Chris.
Yeah, you can see the difference in the new tires right here.
Oh, there it is. Colby into the back of Pienta. Really wanting to get by.
Yeah, the center of the corner speed is just really, really, really greater on the 9 and the 01 compared to these guys in front of them. But it's just hard to turn underneath somebody on the exit of the corner. It's just so hard to get turned up underneath them in these
What
things.
I'm seeing from the driver of that 9 car, Patrick Colby, you can see him running in a little bit higher, trying to arc it off and get a run off the bottom to get underneath Evan Pienta. And it worked for about a lap or two. Doesn't look like the success rate is as high, though, the last couple of laps.
Yeah, well, you know, as this run goes on here, the tire advantage...
Colby
this is
really close on the back of the 55.
Yeah.
If you're Evan Pienta, what are you feeling right now on that 55?
You just... if you hear your spotter say car inside, you better not chop him, because he's coming.
He's really close.
He's just not quite timing it right, I think. I think if he were to... I know what he's doing. He's doing a really good job of generating that run, but it's almost like he's getting to Evan's bumper just a little too soon.
He thought
about it.
We might see it right there. Evan left the door open for a minute. But
he got loose.
Patrick Colby, if you're Patrick Colby, you got to worry about James Ray, who's on equally as fresh tires. And if you're Colby, we know, here we go. This might be it right here. Colby's going to get the door open.
Evan gives
on
him
the
room.
55. Patience had to be wearing a little bit thin.
But Evan gets a run.
Evan gets that run on the outside off the corner, and you see what it's done to Patrick Colby. James Ray, week 1 winner, going to get that position. No contest from the number 9. 01 moves on by into 3rd position, looking to see if he can get win number 2 on the season. Lap 118 out of 150 here. Team 53, 150. Say that 5 times fast from Hickory Speedway.
A lot of numbers.
Your top runners right now. Scotty Sobczak in the lead. Rye Jones is not going anywhere in second, about 7/10 back, gaining a little bit of ground. Evan Pienta in 3rd, and we just saw James Ray move up into the 4th position, followed by Patrick Colby in 5th. Josh Ward looking to see if he can take those fresh tires into the top 5, but he's got a good ways back. Might not catch him till the end of the race. So right now, Scotty Sobczak, got to be loving what he's seeing in his rearview mirror. Rye Jones getting a little bit smaller, but also 3rd, 4th, and 5th really fighting each other tooth and nail pretty hard back there on those fresher tires.
Yeah.
Evan Pienta is doing a great job right now of holding station on those guys.
Some
Not
contact!
anymore, though.
No.
And it's going to get
2 cars
Colby
around
into the back of Ray. Evan Pienta in the middle of the track, Ray on the bottom of the track. Both of those cars are going to have pretty severe damage. I think James Ray, Chris, I think the 01 might have gotten the worst of it there as we saw 3rd, 4th, and 5th stack up.
Yeah, I think that I was about to say if you're Patrick Colby, you just want to follow James Ray through when he makes that pass, but I think that was a stack-up effect after the initial contact. We'll go back here and we'll see. Ooh, we just missed it a little bit here, but yeah. So James Ray turning to the bottom. He knows time's running out, and he just gets into the left rear, and Patrick Colby gets into James Ray that follows right there. I think the EOL right here. Obviously, James Ray will have to get one for the contact here, but I think Patrick Colby will be safe here.
Hey, one of the comments in the chat earlier was Evan's going to get desperate as the race winds down, and he did to hold on to that position, and he did a really good job, but it just created kind of a log jam with the 01 and the 9. So Gran Torino Sport, appreciate you being a participant in the chat. Ben Keast over on YouTube, rooting for Jordan Ives and that number 18. I think that those guys are a group of friends, so we appreciate them supporting each other in the chat. Chris, I didn't see anyone come down pit road, and I think it was open that time, so it looking like your top 10 guys out on the track right now might be satisfied with what they got for the remaining 23 laps or so.
Yeah, I think so. I think that track position right now is more important than getting tires. So I think that's a good move. I'm not surprised by that at all, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out right now. Patrick Colby, looking at everybody up here and the tire life that they have, Patrick Colby and Johnny Rapp sitting in a really good spot, running 3rd and 5th respectively right now. And you know,
but go ahead.
I was just about to say, like, I think they're probably feeling really good about restarting on the inside here on those fresh tires.
Yeah. Hey, look, let's not forget who's running 4th position right now. Kenneth Gallman. Yeah. Honey Badger pointed that out in the chat. Number 71 driver Kenneth Gallman,
running good.
Looking to see if he can channel some of that speed he's shown all season long into a pretty good finish tonight. Sitting 4th. Anything goes wrong with the leaders, Gallman in that 71. Dark Horse is going to be there. Pace car peels off. Scott Sobczak and Rye Jones lead him to the line. Lap 129 of 150. The Team 53 150 from Slingshot Racing. Tough battle up front. James Ray really in trouble at the top of the track. Several positions back. Right now, Rye Jones doing what he can do, Chris, to stick to the right rear quarter panel of Sobczak. Oh, number 9, Patrick Colby. A little bit of contact with the 91. No love lost there between those two guys. Caution is out. Hey, and Johnny Rapp turns Patrick Colby. I don't think they were probably in the same headspace that I was. They might have missed the caution a little bit, failed to slow down quick enough. So Patrick Colby, Chris, goes from restarting 3rd to going to be at the back of the pack here.
Yeah, let's see what happened initially here. James Ray made a pit. Oh, that's what it was. James Ray decided to come down pit road there, and I think it created a little bit of a stack-up effect. And I think the 0-2 of Clint Walker had a little bit of contact from Tony Caputo and turned Clint Walker around. Chris Blassie had a little bit of contact to the back of Caputo. And then I think there was a stack-up from the caution coming out. I don't think Johnny Rapp knew the caution came out.
No, I don't think these guys were ready for it. Kind of in a similar headspace as me. They missed it. And as a result, Johnny Rapp just ever so slightly gets in the back of that number 91. And Kenneth Gallman gets a little bit of the back bumper of that number 52.
Oh, there was more contact after the fact, too. I didn't realize that happened, but hopefully everybody's okay. But, yeah, that's frustrating. I've been there before on both ends of it. You know, the one doing it and the one receiving it whenever the caution comes out. So that's very unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but it's going to leave about 18 laps left on the board for these Slingshot Racing League drivers to race here around Hickory Speedway. A couple caution laps off the top of that. But right now, Scott Sobczak is your leader. Rye Jones in 2nd. Kenneth Gallman scored his 3rd. Even a little bit of contact on that last race. Patrick Colby.
He's going to get his spots back.
Sure.
Yeah. I think our race controller, Sam Maxwell, is being that good guy that he is right here and getting Patrick his positions back.
Staying on top of things.
Yep.
Going to kind of look at it. The caution was out when those happen. I know we have, NASCAR has rules where you got to maintain caution speed and all that. We've seen some arguments about that in NASCAR over the past year or two, but our race controller is going to get Patrick Colby that third position back. So that's going to push Gallman back to the fourth position. He's going to be forced to start on that dreaded outside line. Right now, pace car lights are still on, though.
I like that move by our race controller, Sam Maxwell, right there. That was... I think that was a really good move.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let those drivers who have been in the top 5 all night, settle it amongst themselves. And, hey, speaking of top 5 all night, Josh Ward, he's right there in 6th place, right to the outside of Matt Kuntz, Chris, who is actually, Chris, he's got about 26, 27 laps fresher tires than 3 of the other cars out of the top 5. So Kuntz and Patrick Colby really sitting on the best tires right now in the top 5. But Josh Ward on 11-lap old tires, starting on the outside of row 3. Green flag is out. Scott Sobczak gets a great jump on the field with about 14 laps left in this race. From Slingshot Racing League, these drivers are going at it. Scott Sobczak's going to get the jump on Rye Jones. Single file top 3 right now. Kuntz trying to work his way by Gallman.
Matt Kuntz has good tires.
Position. He does, Chris, right now. Only car that's got better tires is Patrick Colby. So Kuntz looking to see if he can channel a little bit of strategy and luck into 2 wins in a row. We're going to be keeping an eye on that 13 car in these final 13 laps or so right now. Scotty Sobczak got to worry about Rye Jones in his mirror.
And this 55 car is really fast right now. He is also on fresh tires. He and Josh Ward both. They're on by far the freshest tires of anybody in the top 6. He's really flying right through the center of the corner.
Yep. Things are about to get crazy, Paul Thomas says in the chat. Absolutely right. Things are going to get crazy, especially if that 55 runs down these top 3. So, yeah, things have not been sold yet. 10 laps to go in the Team 53 150 here at Hickory Motor Speedway. Lead about the same for Scotty Sobczak off of turn 4 there. Rye Jones in 2nd place. If you're Rye Jones, are you thinking about changing anything up if you're not making up any ground on Scotty Sobczak?
I just don't know if you can, really. There's just so little that you can do on a track this small and with cars as equal as these are, like as far as, the grip and the horsepower that these things have. It's just so hard to make up ground. Rye Jones made up a 10th the lap before, and that lap right there, he lost a 10th. We'll see where they shake out here. Lost about another 10th there, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be really hard It's hard to gain 10ths in this car. It's really, really hard to do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where our lap cars are. I don't know if in the final 10 laps, unless we have an incident, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to, if the leaders are going to catch lap traffic at all. Right now, that gap between first and second getting even bigger. Patrick Colby growing a little bit bigger in the rearview mirror of Rye Jones. Evan
Josh
Pienta,
Ward diving to the bottom.
Ward,
oh, no!
And that's going to bring out the caution.
That was
Caution is out. We're going to have a green-white checker. That was an act of desperation.
I was about to say, that's a desperate move right there. That's an inside of 5 laps to go move. Nothing wrong with it, but yeah, let's go back and let's see if we can see what happened. I think that you're going to see a pretty late dive on corner entry here. The 92 here, Ward, look at the outside, then he's going to dive way low, and he's almost in the grass right there. And Evan did not give him a lane to slide up. So Evan said, I'm going to run the line that I run right there, and if we make contact, we make contact. He did move up a little bit about right there at that point, but I think he was probably surprised more than anything because of how late the dive was.
Yeah, when he heard Carlo.
Yeah. He's probably like, there's no way.
No, and you know what? Like, as sudden as that might have been, the fact that he stuck it in there and didn't give any room, it speaks volumes to the bravery of the driver of that number 55. I'm more of a conservative driver. I think I would have darted up the track and be like, take it. I don't want any part of this. But with 5 laps to go, Evan Pienta running for a championship here, he's not going to give an inch. So right now, your top 5, Scotty Sobczak, Rye Jones, both on 92-lap old tires, Chris. Patrick Colby in third is on 63-lap old tires. And Evan Pienta, the guy we were just mentioning, he's on 22-lap old tires. James Ray told us in pre-race, you got to be careful with those right rears. Those are going to be the first things to go. We talked about what that does to the looseness of the race car, makes it wiggle a lot more out of the corners. So how much of an advantage do you think the driver of that 55 back in fourth in that black and blue car has right now?
I think that he does have an advantage here, but I just don't know if it's enough to get through all these cars. It's just so hard to pass. We've been saying it all night. They've got such little horsepower in these things, and they're all running so close together. And, you know, with it being a short track, as small as this one is, when the lap time's as you know, quick as it is, it makes it even harder to make up ground. So I think he's got his work cut out for him.
He does, and I believe lights are off on the pace car, so we're going to see two-lap shootout here. Rye Jones, Scotty Sobczak, really good jump, but that's going to offer Patrick Colby that inside position, Chris. We know he's on fresher tires. Rye Jones, Patrick
he runs
Colby,
him up.
aggressive driver.
Oh, some contact.
The drivers have not taken the white flag yet, so we're going to have another shot of the green-white checkered. But keep an eye on that 91 and that 9, Chris. You can see a little bit of aggression in the way that number 9 car turns around. And let's keep an eye on Patrick Colby.
Yeah, he slid up right in the center of the corner. I don't know if there's some contact right there. Yeah, looks like there's a little bit of contact that slid him up there, and
I don't really know. Like, to me, it's a racing incident that just these guys happen to be in the wrong place at the right time.
I don't put that on Rye Jones.
Nah, I don't either. I don't know. You know, obviously we're up in the booth. We have a different perspective. Seeing Patrick Colby come down pit road right now, but that's just hard racing. And when you got Rye Jones, knowing that Chris, he's going to lose 3 or 4 more spots if he doesn't challenge Colby for that position. He's doing what he got to do, and he just didn't let go of that rear quarter panel. I know Patrick Colby might see it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
We'll see how our race controller sees it, but that's not going to change anything up front other than Evan Pienta is now second starting on the outside, Chris.
The only, like, you know, we're right on board right here with Evan Pienta, and there's a lot of room between Patrick Colby, and I think it's because of the contact here. The contact here shoots Colby up the track a little bit, and there's a lot of room up there, and we'll see what happens with the penalty, but I think that would be my argument if I'm Rye Jones. It's like, hey, I'm really, really far up the track here. I'm already really far up. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what race control decides.
So that is going to put Evan Pienta on, Chris, exactly 70 laps fresher tires than your leader, Scott Sobczak.
Oh, boy.
And this is Scott Sobczak's got a yeoman's work cut out for him if he's going to hold off the driver that number 55. I wouldn't want to be in that 81, but it's going to come down the jump. We saw the driver that 81, Scott Sobczak, get a really good jump last restart, lights off on the pace car this time by. So if you're in the chat, let us know who you think's going to take this victory. Is it going to be Scott Sobczak or is it going to be Evan Pienta getting this W here? Is it going to be somebody else? Kenneth Gallman in fourth, Rye Jones in third. Lots of drivers that can capitalize on some mistakes here. Pace truck is off. Scott Sobczak, Chris, you mentioned it. Great restart. He snookered Evan Pienta, and this is just off to the races for the driver of that 81. We'll see if we can make it to the checkered flag without an incident. At least to the white flag. Scott Sobczak going to come by. He's going to take the white flags out.
Next flag ends it.
Scott Sobczak rolling that inside. Rye Jones second, Evan Pienta third. Johnny Rapp, seeing if he can come home with a top 5 finish. But Scott Sobczak, new father, channeling that dad power into a victory. His first on the season. Scotty Sobczak in that number 81 is your winner. Rye Jones second, Evan Pienta third, Kenneth Gallman fourth. Johnny Rapp is going to round out. Actually, Josh Ward gets fifth at the line from Johnny Rapp. All right. Wow. That was a great race. Didn't know the winner until the final restart, and I'm wondering a little bit. I'm keeping an eye on the number 9 and the 91, see if there's any extracurriculars after the race, but it looks like everyone is calmed down a little bit since that next to last incident. All right, we're going to interview our top three. We're going to break away for just a second to hear from some of our partners at Apex Energy before we bring you the post-race interviews with your top three finishers. All right, we're back at Hickory Motor Speedway. Just finished the Team 53 150, and we're going to talk to our third place finisher, Evan Pienta. Does a lot of our graphic work. That logo you see on the right corner of the screen was done by Evan. We appreciate all the hard work he does. But Evan, first of all, congratulations on the third place finish. I know that's going to do some good work for you in the point standings this week. Talk to us a little bit. We know you're on about 70 lap newer tires there. What was kind of missing for you to get the job done and get by the 81 in the final closing laps?
I think it was just the lane I was in. If I was on the inside right behind him, I think I'd have a shot. It's hard to predict right there. He got such a good restart. It was kind of like my really only shot was trying to get in behind him, and Ryan got a good start behind him. So I just kind of had to fought Ryan for half a lap, and then just kind of took my medicine and slid in behind him. But I think if I just had the inside line, could be right on his bumper for even just the final lap or even the final corner, I'd have a shot. But
yeah, oh well. I know easier said than done to let it go, but we saw you have those fresher tires because you got caught up in an incident towards the end of the race. Walk us through that just a little bit. I'm trying to remember exactly what lap it happened on. I'm looking at my timing screen here. You probably remember better than me, but what happened? I think it was you. Was it Josh Ward and at least another car?
I mean, you talking about the one where I got wrecked, or the one that I
was about to say you did. You kind of had multiple incidents. Let's talk about whichever one you want to talk about.
Well, I just want to say I've had an eventful season, so I don't really there's a lot to remember so far in this first three races, but the one that I had 2 minutes of damage and my steering's all screwed up actually from the one I got. Kind of basically the same thing I did to the 01 last week, just off the corner. I expected him last week to get back on the throttle before he did, and I think he expected me to get back on the throttle before I did, and he just got into the back of me and I spun around, and then he got spun around I think behind him, and we just doored, and it got damaged there, but it was enough to where I was still somewhat competitive. That's when I took my tires, I think, and then with just Josh that was going in, I knew we both had this fresh tires we put at the same time, and I knew we could try and get by Patrick and Ryan and get up to Scott, but I just was hoping for him to just stay behind me so I could make the holes and we could both get through. And I know just Josh is a more of a aggressive kind of just wanting to get it, make it his way, but I mean that's just how different people race. But he sent it into the corner and got his left sides in the grass, I think, and just came up with too much momentum. I think I have my line, but
Short track racing is what it is. Short
Yeah.
track racing. Well, hey, before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give before we let you go celebrate that third place finish?
you guys for putting the broadcast on and the league on. Apex Energy, Team53 for sponsoring the race and providing the setups. Sim Racing Tech, UD Awards, Sim Racing Concepts. My teammates at Payday. Good finish for Ryan again. Second place. Wasn't a photo finish this time, but we'll take the momentum. And I just want to say it's good to have a good run like this. The last 2 weeks have been. I feel like I could have been talking to you guys last 2 weeks too, and just didn't go our way. But
Hey, well, we're glad you're back on the podium, my friend. Congratulations on that third place finish. Evan Pient, everybody. All right, so you heard from third place. Let's hear from second place. 2 weeks in a row, Rye Jones going to be your second place finisher, bringing him into the broadcast booth right now.
Rye Jones, driver of the number 91. This is Slingshot Booth. You got a copy?
Hi.
What's up, man? Hey, that's a great run tonight. I was telling Ellis, looking up there all night, it's just Rye Jones just up there lurking. Talk us through your night. How was it from your perspective?
Well, considering I work on cars every day for a living, and then I came home and did this, my back kind of hurts. I'm not gonna lie. It was really so. That first long run, I was so happy a caution came out because after about 40 laps in these things, you were turning right more than turning left. Like it was so freaking slippery, and it was a handful. And so once we kind of had those short cautions coming, or once we had that first one, I was like, all right, I'm going to go in and take 4. And everybody in front of me took 2. And I was like, oh, if we get a long run, this time I'll prevail after about 20 laps. And I was going to, but sure enough, once we hit like that 20 lap mark and I started getting faster than them, another caution came out. And that's just kind of how it went the rest of the evening.
Well, you put on a great show all night. You were up there looking really good. It looked like you were one of the drivers that was conserving their right rear a little bit better than others. We saw there at the end, things get really chaotic at the end, especially on these really, really small bull rings like Hickory. We saw some contact between you and the 9 of Patrick Colby. Walk us through that and what happened from your perspective.
Yeah, I was just talking with Josh and Johnny and them about that because it was hard to see, but that was the first time that race where I had a bad restart on the outside of Scotty, and that was and I saw Patrick, he was right behind Scotty, and I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna go into one here, and it's gonna be really tight. I knew it, and we made contact. I didn't even see how it'll say on iRacing a 0x or if you make contact. I didn't even see that, and apparently we 4 wheels turned into 8, and I could feel, I felt the car get stuck on him, and we both started going up the track, and it felt like I just barely had any control. And as I'm checking up a little bit, we're still stuck, and I can't get off of him. And he ended up getting turned, and I didn't mean for that to happen. That's the last thing I want to have happen. Had he gotten clear of me, he would have been in the fight to maybe try and beat Scotty there on that green-white checker. So I hate that it spun him out. That was definitely not what you want. I know it's really close racing, and that's how Sam saw it as well. And I do appreciate him for making a good call on there. It kind of sucked there. I don't want to see that happen because if I was on the other end, I know how it feels.
That's how we saw it too, and I think that you summed it up perfectly right there. Hey man, that's a great run tonight, a second place finish. Any shout outs that you want to give before we let you go tonight and celebrate with your team?
Oh, you guys, of course. You guys always put on a great show, and I enjoy watching the replays after I race. And honestly, this field, this group of guys, I like to thank Johnny and Evan all the time, but the group of solid 15, 16 guys that we have racing with us every week, I feel like we've been doing fairly decent, and it's been putting on some good shows. So I'm really enjoying it.
Great, man. Well, we enjoy having you. Congratulations on the second place finish tonight. Go celebrate with your team, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, you heard from Rye Jones, your second place finisher. Now we're going to bring in your winner tonight in the Team 53 150, Scotty Sobzak. Mr. Sobzak, this is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy.
I got you guys.
Well, you channeled the dad power into a victory tonight. First of all, congratulations, new father. But I know you're excited to get that win out of the way. You won a preseason race, but you haven't won a race during the regular season, missed last week. Talk to us a little bit about, man, caution after caution there the last probably 30 or 40 laps. You had a lot of guys in your mirror that had fresher tires on towards the end of the race. Talk about what you did to maintain your spot for most of the race.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the fatherhood call out there. That was the important reason missing last week, but this week I'm glad to be out front there. And yeah, late in the run, a bunch of cautions and kind of what I was assuming would happen. And honestly, it was, I think, a little bit down to the tire strategy of pitting with everybody about a third of the way through the race to get those right sides and kind of get us with fresh enough tires to make it to the end. And I know Patrick had new tires, and he was sitting there in third for a lot of the last 30 or 40 laps. So I had him in the mirror, a few other guys there. A couple of the other guys had similar tire strategy, so I was kind of hoping they would pinball each other, which is pretty much exactly what happened. So it seems like the key is to, get out front and stay there, because you never know what's going to happen, mid-pack.
Yeah, these races are tough. It's a short track. We talked about right rear tire degradation, how loose the exit of some of these corners could be. You made it stick all night long. Couple challenging moments, man, but you stayed out of the fray most of the time. So I know that probably had to make your race a little bit easier. Out of all tracks we've got left on the schedule, is there one that you are dreading more than any other? Or is there one you're looking forward to in terms of where you might back this win up with a second win?
Oh, man. I hope I back it up next week. I'll be completely honest. I'd have to look at the schedule to take a look at those tracks. A lot of them share some similarities. This one tonight was actually a little bit different, but, the way you could run the apron. And, thanks for adjusting that setup. I thought was excellent. It made us drive a little bit more difficult. And it seemed like that setup actually came in really well, towards 30, 40 laps into the run. So as long as those setups, continue to do that, it could be pretty much any of these upcoming races. And I prefer that a little bit looser of a setup. Once you get tight and start riding that right front, I'm not quite as competitive. So we'll just have to see what the setup is for next week and take it 1 week at a time from here.
Well, we've got that July 4th week off next week, but starting on July 11th, we head to Southern National, then we head into South Boston, and we finish the season at Nashville Fairgrounds. So that's what you have to look forward to. That second half of the season, man, and you're pretty far behind the points, but with this win, you're definitely going to shoot up the leaderboard as early as we are into the season. So we'll see. You got to finish strong if you want to win that championship, though.
Yeah, we'll see. One week off isn't going to help. I wish I could win next week, but looks like no one else will be out there with me. So, oh well.
Well, you're a winner and a champion in our hearts. So congratulations again on fatherhood, and congratulations on that win tonight. And any shout outs before we let you go?
Yeah, just thanks to my wife Alex, and of course my daughter Isla. They were watching, Figs and Remy, Olivia, Alyssa, if they were watching, Monkey 81, everyone in the chat, anyone that watched today, Justin for the setups, you guys for broadcasting, and Sam for race control. Appreciate it, guys.
Awesome. Scotty Sabzak, we appreciate you, and go celebrate that victory.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so Chris had a lot of action on the track tonight. Scotty Sabzak did a really, really good job. I'm seeing if I can. I don't see if I can see how many laps he's led in on my stats here, but he led a lot of laps. I would say he probably led the majority of the race and stayed out front despite having some pretty heavy challenges by guys behind him on fresher tires. We saw some comers and goers over the course of the race. James Ray, I think, was a big story. Ended up finishing ninth, but he found himself in more trouble tonight than he's seen all season long. We've talked about him kind of staying clean most of the night, most of the past two races, but tonight was a different story. Ends up bringing it home in ninth place. James Ray does. So that's going to be something we keep an eye on in the championship. But hey, shout out to Kenneth Gallman. I know we've got some Gallman fans in the chat. Brought home a top 4 finish tonight. That is backing up his finish of 6th at Lanier. So he's quietly working himself into the championship discussion. Kenneth Gallman is Josh Ward. Man, fighter, Chris. Ends up with a top 5 right there at the line over Johnny Rapp. Did a great job of working his way through the field multiple times tonight. Johnny Rapp, we mentioned, Great job finishing sixth despite having some trouble early on in the race. Matt Kuntz, shout out, used strategy along with his teammate Nick DeCesare to get themselves in 7th and 8th respectively. Matt Kuntz backing up that finish, that win last week with the top 7. And Lee Campbell, shout out to Lee, brought home a top 10 finish. Started 8th with a really good qualifying effort, pretty much keep station most of the night. That's at the top 10. Patrick Colby, 11th, Chris. This is going to have some championship implications. He is your third place in points. James Ray's your leader. So I think if you and I are neither math teachers, but my math tells me loosely that Matt Kuntz might take over the points lead headed into the off week, mid-season break. So
it's anybody's championship.
What's that?
Anybody's championship.
It is anybody's championship halfway through the season. You can see the rest of the 16 finishers right there on the screen, man. And hey, all of this series is made possible by Team 53 and Justin Laxton. We heard from him in the season opener. Team 53, you saw their commercial early on in the race. It's not just a setup shop; it's a community. It's a literal team. Where you pay a membership, you get setups, you get tutorials, and you also get one-to-one coaching. And you get that camaraderie and kind of peer mentorship from other drivers that kind of makes that company stand apart a little bit from most of your other iRacing setup shops. They do a great job with the late model stock cars. So if you're interested, you can check out their Facebook at facebook.com/team53wi. So we appreciate them. We appreciate all of our partners. And most importantly, we appreciate all the viewers who have tuned in, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching a replay. We appreciate our viewers and fans. Y'all are what make this happen in addition to our drivers. So great race tonight, Chris. Any parting thoughts before we conclude this broadcast?
Just that I think the drivers were challenged tonight, and I think they did a great job. I know we had 10 cautions. But I didn't see anything that was really surprising at all. That this is just a really, really tough little short track, and I think the drivers did great, and I think they put on a really, really good show. And congratulations, Scotty Sobczak, on picking up his first win of the season.
Absolutely. And hey, we're off next week in the Team 53 Summer Shootout, but July 11th we head to Southern National. But if you want more Slingshot Racing, we've got some coming at you tomorrow night. The 87 NASCARs take to Michigan Speedway at 8:30 Eastern Time for the Team 53 175. So you'll see some of your favorite Slingshot racers. Scotty Sobczak will probably be there as well. So until then, I'm Ellis Thomas, joined by Chris Smith in the booth. Have a great night, everybody.